Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to Life Enhancement and Development Live. I'm Dr. Cassandra Washington, and I have here with me the transformation coach. I was about to say doctor. Look, y'all, for some reason, I want to say doctor.
It's unreal. It's okay.
Bernadette Hicks Kelly, the transformation coach. We are so glad to be with you all again. Well, I know it's a little different. Usually it's on a Thursday evening, but it's on a Saturday evening this time. And that's because I'm here in the state of Georgia visiting the transformation coach. And we are going to continue our series on I'm Ready for Change, the journey to transformation, the process of change. I'm going to allow her the opportunity to greet everyone before we really get into what we're going to talk about tonight.
Hi, everyone. I am enjoying this wonderful Saturday. The weather is hot, but beautiful. It's actually a little windy today, so it's a beautiful day today.
It is, and the view is beautiful. I love this view. And so we are going to continue our series on I'm Ready for Change, the journey to transformation, personal development, and growth. The first week, we talked about change and what change was all about. Then we talked about laying the foundation for change. And last week, we did that interactive session of creating your vision board. And I hope you all who were engaging with us, that you worked on your vision board, your vision and your goals. We talked about SMART goals. We're just giving a little recap. SMART goals have to be specific. They have to be measurable. They have to be achievable. They have to be realistic or relatable. And they have to have a timeline, because we don't just want you just, beating the air, just going around in circles. You got to have a timeline. We want you to accomplish something. So tonight we're going to continue our series. We're going to be talking about your strategic toolbox for opposition to change. Whenever you make up your mind that you're going to do something different, that you're going to change, that you're going to create some new habits, guess what? Opposition shows up. Resistance shows up to try to prevent you or hinder you from reaching your goal and going through the process of change. So tonight, the transformation coach and I, we're going to share some strategies and some tools that you can use to help you accomplish your goals, fulfill your dreams, do the things that you really want to do. And at the end of the year, see some accomplishments.
Yes.
So Bernadette, we want to start right off with talking about, is opposition good? What is opposition? Is it good for us?
Opposition is good for us. So I jotted a few things down when we made the note that we were going to talk about opposition and resistance.
Mm-hmm.
Opposition makes us stronger.
Mm-hmm.
It makes us think more critically. It makes us be more creative. I think we're more creative when there's opposition. So I just jotted a few things down. So I just jotted a few. It says a few reasons why opposition is good for us. So most of the time we hear the word opposition, we think, oh, the negative is going to be bad. It's going to be some type of hindrance, but not all opposition is bad. It may appear to be bad, but girl, not all opposition is bad.
We said it's the devil.
It is not always the devil. Sometimes, and even if it is the devil, it's going to make you stronger. So as it is true, whatever doesn't kill you, I promise you, it is going to make you stronger. It's absolutely.
We don't like that saying. I don't like that saying. I
Well, this is when I say if it doesn't kill you, that means you got time to get it right. So if
I guess they mean that it's still you're still alive.
You're still alive.
You're still alive. But it's just like we just said. We don't like pressure. We don't like we don't like opposition. You want to be able, whatever you say you're going to do, you just want to be able to go through it and do it without any resistance.
You would think. But this is the thing with opposition. Opposition give you an opportunity to learn. So when that opposition comes, so let me just give you a few things I wrote down. Critical thinking and perspective. Opposition challenges our perspective and our beliefs. So we can believe things and don't even know why we believe things. So I always tell this story of how, when we were younger, my mom would say, don't put the coat on the bed. So I grew up like, do not lay your coat on the bed, period. Don't put your coat on the bed. I didn't know why I was saying don't put your coat on the bed. I just knew that she always told us, don't put your coat on the bed. And so my sisters and I, we're adults now. We're still not putting coats on the bed, We wouldn't allow our children to put their coats on the bed, and we wouldn't put our coats on the bed. We went to each other's house. And so I was asked one day, I was like, why can't we put the coats on the bed? And we were like, we don't know why we couldn't. Mama just said, don't put the coats on the bed. Mm-hmm. And so I said, let's call her and find out. So we called and said, why did you always tell us don't put the coats on the bed? And she said the neighbors had lice in their hair. Oh. And she knew if she told us that the neighbors had lice in their hair, guess what we were going to do? Tell the neighbors.
Yeah, my mama won't let us put the coats on the bed because she said you all have lice.
Yeah, y'all got bugs. We wouldn't even use the word lice. We'd be like, y'all got bugs in y'all hair and stuff, and so we can't put these. And so we couldn't put coats. So that was a belief for us. We didn't even know why we believed that. We didn't even know why. And when people would challenge us on it, we would just say, you can't put your coats on the bed. Like, no, do not put your coats on the bed. So we didn't even have a logical reason why until we talked to our mom. And that's how we are sometime in life. We don't have a logical reason why we think the way we think and why we're so aggressive about doing things the same way. It's just that we've never thought to say, why do I do it this way? Mm-hmm. Why do that? But when opposition comes, it makes us think differently. Mm-hmm. You have companies, I work with companies, and knowing that things could go better, but nobody's there thinking, doing critical thinking. So they said, this is the way we've always done it. But when you ask why, I don't know. When I came here 15 years ago, this is how they were doing it. Mm-hmm. Nobody stopped to say, okay, but this isn't working anymore. Right. And so that's why opposition is good. It gives us a chance to say, okay, this isn't working anymore. Even in our own lives, if we're trying to budget and we still not seeing our bills paid off, maybe what we learned old school style of budgeting isn't working anymore. And we got to do something different with change. So opposition shows us, okay, every month you still need extra money. Every month you're still behind in your bills. So whatever you learn in your past isn't working. Mm-hmm. So opposition in that case is you still got more bills than you have money. So you got to do something different. Mm-hmm. So it makes you do critical thinking. The other thing is moves you into progress. If opposition comes, you have to do something. Mm-hmm. You can't even just stay there. When opposition means I got to move forward or either I'm moving backwards. So we're hoping that when opposition comes, that growth comes as well, that you now are growing. So again, it develops personal growth as I compare it to finances. If you're not paying your finances off and you're still in debt, then you need to say, okay, I need to do some personal growth. Maybe I need to go back and learn how to do money. Maybe I need to learn how to be debt free. I thought I knew how to be debt free, but clearly I don't because I'm still in debt. So opposition comes and say, go back to school, go back to class. Again, I wrote down, strengthen your ideas. So if you're here and you're arguing about something with someone, if I'm going to tell you that I think my way is better, I need to have a clarification of why do I think my way is better? I have so many people come, when we're working on different contracts or projects, and they say, well, why do you do it this way? I have to explain why I think this work works best. And when they come with complaints, I was like, you can bring me all of your complaints. I'm okay with you bringing complaints, but the one thing I need you to do also is bring a solution. It's easy to complain.
Right.
It's very easy to complain, but bring solutions. In all that you do, bring some solution. That's in everything. It's easy to sit on the sideline and complain. You watch other people's video. Well, if I was her, I would have said this. I would have said that. We do the same thing. I'm my worst critic. I promise you. When we get off these lives, I was like, why did I say that? I probably should have said this. And so, but when we do that to other people, we have to think, okay, why am I being critical to this person? Why am I being critical to what they said? Just because that's not how I would have said it, doesn't make it wrong. So we got to learn how to be good communicators as well. So
Right.
opposition really help us communicate even better.
That's true.
So we'll talk about that a little bit later. But that just to sum it up, opposition and resilience, resistance, bring some of the essential things I think that it creates is personal growth, social growth, and intellectual growth, as well as it stimulates you to think more. That you're going to think more, you're going to provide some checks and balances in your life. So that's when I think opposition it stimulates you to do better. Either you're going to do better or you're going to get worse. I promise you're not standing still.
When you said that, it made me think about fight or flight.
Yes.
You either going to fight, you're going to run, or you're going to backtrack. How you doing, Dr. Carol? Happy Saturday to you too. And while you were talking, it made me think about something that we learned when I was in school called SWOT. Yes. Your strength, your weaknesses, your opportunities, and your threats. Opportunity. When opposition comes, it shows you your weaknesses. Because what's in you going to come out. It shows you your weaknesses. It shows you your strengths. And then it will put you also in this state of, okay, what am I going to do? Am I going to look at this as an opportunity to become better? Am I going to, and then your threats. If I don't do something about this situation, it's either going to take me out or I'm going to have to take this situation out. So, all those things that you were saying, it made me think about SWOT.
I like that.
Your strengths, your weaknesses, your opportunities, and threats.
And your threats.
Yeah. So you get opposition will help you identify your weaknesses because whenever trouble comes or things come, it's gonna show you your best and your worst.
Absolutely.
And it's going to show you what you're good at, what you got, what the things you need to keep. Then it's going to show you what you need to work on.
Exactly.
If you got a temper, it's gonna something is going to happen to bring it out.
Yes.
To bring that and let you know. And that's the way God works too. Whatever it is that you need to work on, things are going to come to bring that to the forefront. Because He's all about us getting better.
Yes.
He's all about us developing, growing, maturing, being better. And then, like you were saying earlier, opposition and resistance is good, especially when you get past 50. I've been, going to the gym and the trainers tell us, resistance. You need to get on the weights.
Yes. Or get the bands.
Get the bands. Yeah. That make me sick with the bands. You need to get the bands because the resistance is going to build your strength and make you stronger, especially for women who are maturing.
Yes.
So the resistance is good, but we run for. I know I'd be like, please, I don't want to do that. But if I want my body to get stronger, or if I want to become better, then the resistance is good. And then it shows me what I need to work on, what I need to work on, what my strengths are. And if I want to get healthy, the threat is sickness and disease.
Absolutely. It will come. It will show up. I remember, Cassandra, when you talk about that, years ago, I realized that one of the biggest weaknesses that I had was confrontational. I would avoid anything just not to be confronted. I'm just like, let's just settle it in peace. I don't want to be confrontational. But then I realized that everyone that was confrontational, wasn't always a bad thing. Sometimes confrontation is just to get you to talk about it. Let's talk about what's going on. It's not always a bad thing. So when things are confronted, because most of the time, I think I related to being in an office setting, you about to get fired, you get called to the office, or you get called to the principal office. So the principal office probably was my fear that started the whole fear factor with this whole being confronted about something. And so, when you see people going into the office, they come out and they say, can I talk to you in the office? You already know it's not a good thing, right?
It's usually not good.
Usually it's not a good thing. So that was always my thing. It's like, when someone coming out, well, can I speak to you? I was like, oh God, like what right now? And so I learned to get over it because what happened is I would get in the office and it would be good things. People was like, you're doing a good job. I want to see if we want to offer you the manager's role, or we want to offer you the supervisor's role. So I really learned that sometimes being called out or being confronted isn't always a bad thing. And when it was a bad thing, that helped me when it was a bad thing, because it taught me, like, okay, if you don't agree with something, speak up when it's happening, and you don't have to be angry. And
Right.
I deal with a lot of ladies and gentlemen as well. And one of the things I tell them is learn how to communicate.
Mm-hmm.
When something is going on, you have to learn how to speak without being angry. You don't have to be angry, even if you don't agree with it, or even if you're mad, learn not to speak when you're mad. I think that's probably one of the best things that I ever learned was I don't speak when I'm angry, because one thing about words, you don't get to take them back.
Right.
And I'm sorry, don't fix everything.
Mm-hmm.
And so I don't speak when I'm angry. I give myself, I'm not as bad as you. What'd you say? I just take off the running?
I have to walk real fast. I do. I've sometimes, I've when I get to those moments where, I know I'm really upset. Okay, I know I have to walk really, really fast, almost to a trot, because I know, the old Cassandra.
Yes. And so again, mechanisms. We talk about mechanisms. We talk about tools of putting things in place. I know if something is coming up, or I'm about to get a phone call, or I see a phone call come through, and I'm not ready to discuss that now. Thank God for voicemail. I just let that go on over to voicemail, and then I will deal with that later. I have listened to voicemails and said, you know what? I'm not going to respond to that right now. Even texts have come through. And I tell people, you read texts and you read emails how you are feeling. If you're already frustrated and you read an email, it seems like every email is frustrated. It has something frustrating that's going on, because you're reading into your feelings are now reading into that email. They could be saying, well, call me back today immediately, ASAP. And so if you're already frustrated, I know this child didn't tell me to call her back. I'm busy right now. So now you're frustrated and you're reading this email like, I don't have time to call them back ASAP. And you don't need to be sending emails telling people to call you back ASAP anyway.
You got an attitude now.
Yes, now you got an attitude. But that's how you are feeling. So we have to be careful when we're reading emails. We've been talking about that mindset. How does your mind process things? If you wake up on 100 every day, before you can get a cup of coffee, you already angry. I've gone to McDonald's to get a cup of coffee, and people yell, "It's 6 a.m. Why you mad at 6 a.m.?"
Well, that lets you know they came there with that.
That's what I'm saying. But how you mad at 6 a.m. in the morning?
But see, it's all what you're saying. It's your perspective about resistance. It's your perspective about opposition. Like Dr. Carol is saying, opposition is good and resistance builds. That's right, Dr. Carol.
Absolutely.
SWOT. She put SWOT in the chat for me. Strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. That can apply to every area of your life. Your relationships, even a personal assessment of yourself, your business. Yes. You can apply that to everything. And so resistance and opposition is good. And we, of course, when we talk about things, it's based on biblical principles. And when I was thinking about this, I was thinking about that there's a scripture that says that we should count it all joy when we face trials and temptations and things that come before us to challenge us, because it makes you stronger. It builds patience in you, and we sometimes we say it in a playful way, Lord, give me patience. Okay, you better be careful what you say, because when you say, because something is going to come. And that's a part of life anyway. That's a part of life anyway. Like I said earlier, we think everything is the enemy. Everything is not the enemy. Life and God allows resistance and opposition to come your way to help you to change, to help you to grow, to develop. And a lot of times we fail the test. We keep running from it. But guess what? You're not going to live this life without opposition and without resistance, because you need to grow, and you need it to grow,
absolutely,
to change, to evolve, and to develop. So it's all about how your perspective about opposition and resistance and change. It's all about how you approach it and your perspective about it. And so you talked about some of the things. You just talked about one of the things that opposition brings. And one of the things it brings is conflict.
Yes.
Sometimes it brings conflict. What are some other things that may appear when we go through trouble or opposition or challenges?
Okay. Your viewpoint. So you're going to see various different viewpoints. You're going to have conflicts. You're going to see criticism. So criticism is probably one of the main things I like to talk with opposition. Is it's okay to be criticized. It's so we don't like it when we're criticized,
Yeah.
But at the same time, we criticize, but we don't
We
like
do.
it. But
We love to give
yeah.
criticism.
But it's not bad. Sometimes I remember starting a business and creating a flyer and send it to my girlfriend to look at the flyer. And she was like, "Oh, this is horrible."
Did she say it just like that?
She was like, "This is horrible. Please don't send it out."
But you know, friends and
it
family is
was.
some of the worst. They
Yes.
just cut to the chase. They don't
And
sugarcoat.
it was good advice, and it was, when I
Mhm.
look back at it, because I didn't know what I was doing. Girl, I didn't know what I was doing. But this is the thing. She criticized it and she gave me a better one. And she fixed it for me. And
She gave you a solution.
So she didn't just criticize it and say, it's ugly and I don't know what to tell you. She actually said, this is not good. And let me create you one. And so she created me one and sent it out there. And guess what I do? I do the same thing for people now. I've had people send me out, their mission statement when we're working on their mission statement or their vision statement. I'm like, no, do not post that anywhere. Can you go view my website before you post it? And I was like, tear it down. You might need to hire somebody because that's bad. And we need people to tell us when stuff is bad. We can't just be yes people all the time. Because if you're my coach and you're my friend, I don't want you to tell me something is good when you're looking at it, and then you call your other friend and be like, Bernadette created something that was so horrible. Y'all see this website? Messy. It's gonna be horrible. It's like, no, please tell me. I'd rather you tell me. Now, there's two type of friends you have, I don't want to call names, but then I have these counterparts or friends, and I use friend lightly in this sense, where everything for them is bad. No matter they come to your house and they see every spot on the wall. They don't see that you got new carpet. They don't see that you put down new flooring. They walk in the back and did you know right in the left corner where something was peeling, looked like you may need to paint right there.
That means they're looking for something.
But it don't just be your house. That's how they see life.
They look for the negative
in everything. And so when they are a person that's looking for the negative, believe it or not, they see the negative in everything. They can be in a store and you would never see the child that's acting up and flipped over the basket. And as soon as they walk in the store, did you see that child on your left-hand side, 2 rows down, just flipped over the basket and kicked the mom in the back of the head? And you just like, what? You saw that? Of all things, you saw that? And you know how they are. I mean, I've had people to call me and said, as soon as I walked through the door, she was rolling her eyes at me. Did you see her? I didn't even see the lady. Who was rolling their eyes? Who was rolling their eyes? So when your mind is telling you that that's what's happening to you all the time. So again, that we have to be real careful when a person is negative. Those people, I have to separate myself from them. I really can't keep them in my circle because they irritate my spirit. As they say, you vex my spirit.
And that's the truth. It's negative all the time.
You're negative all the time. You only see the bad. And when you catch yourself, you end up with practice. So when you catch yourself saying the bad, stop. Just stop. You have to retrain your mind to say the good. It's just the same way when we want to start saying positive stuff. I used to say negative stuff as well. But when I made in my mind, I'm going to see the positive in everything, I had to stop. So when negative stuff comes, I put my stop. Don't even think like that. Don't even let your mind go there. Think of something better. Think of something good. It's the same way. If that's your mindset, and you have to tell yourself the truth. We talk about that. Tell yourself that, you know what, maybe I am negative. Maybe I am frustrated all the time. Let me figure, because life will get you frustrated.
Assess myself. And that's a weakness.
Yes.
Let me figure out
that's
why.
That's one of those weaknesses. Yes.
Let me figure out why.
Yes.
Iris said, let's see, it's the state of mind that you are in when trials come. Sometimes they can make you or break you. And that is so true. It's your state of mind.
Yes.
Another thing, Bernadette, that opposition and resistance spring is frustration too.
Yes.
I notice when I'm frustrated, I'm dealing with a situation or a problem and I'm frustrated. That's because I'm trying to figure it out.
Exactly. And I need to be by myself. And those are the tools we're talking about. When you realize what opposition comes and what opposition brings, figure out the tools that you need to make it work for you. Like you say, you need to be by yourself. If I'm frustrated and I'm irritated, I need to be by myself. I need to close off, be by myself. I can't I can't take a bunch of phone calls and all this kind of stuff when I'm irritated, because you're gonna feel when I'm irritated. That's why I tell people, don't just show up at my house. Don't just. That happened one time. I ain't gonna call them names. That happened one time, and someone just showed up. I didn't tell you to show. Why are you just showing up?
What you do?
So I politely looked out the glass window of the door. At that time, I had a glass door, and I said, "I'm not accepting company today. I'm not having company today." And they said, and they thought I was playing, Cassandra. They said, "Girl, I'm already here. I'm not having company today." You know how your moms used to tell your friends you're not having company. Girl, I'm still implementing that. I'm not having company today. And so and at that time I was dealing with some stuff, and I wasn't having company today.
Right.
Because if I had allowed her to come in and just try to have company, it would have been bad for both of us. Yes, because
you weren't in the mood.
I wasn't in the mood, and so I don't just show up at people's house. I expect people to treat me like I treat them. I don't care how close friends we are. Even if I'm in town, I'm not going to just show up. I'm going to call and say, "Hey, I'm on my way." That's why I tell people, don't surprise me. You know, I have family members. I was going to surprise you.
Don't surprise me. Do not surprise her.
Don't. Everybody don't. I'm not that surprise cousin. I'm not that surprise friend.
So let's talk about one of these other things that opposition brings. Rejection. Rejection.
Yes.
And that's one that a lot of people have a problem dealing with. When when you have an idea or you have a goal and you present it to especially family members and friends, and somebody said, no, I don't believe you can do that.
Get somebody else.
That's not you.
Yes.
They don't believe it's you. They don't believe you can do it. They think you need to be doing something else. But you just, so that rejection and lack of support makes you feel some kind of way. Yes. And that's going to come. You set these visions, you set these goals, and you have this big vision and dream. Do not think that it's just going to be smooth sailing.
Yes.
Everybody not gonna cheer you on and not going to support you, but that's all right.
Exactly. And I tell people, don't hold your family hostage. Don't hold your family hostage to your vision or your dream. Once you have a vision and you have a dream and you tell your family members, if they don't get on board, it's okay.
It is.
It's okay. You know, set them free. You can't be angry that family members aren't as supportive as you want them to be. Because if you my family member, you probably sick of me. Because you know how we are, Cassandra. You know, I might have an idea every week. So you can burn your family members out.
She really does have an idea every week.
So you can burn your families out. So I don't hold my family members accountable. Matter of fact, I don't even tell most of my family members anything that I'm doing. They just see it. Or when it's happening or what's going on, but I don't necessarily share. So rejection actually helps you to understand who to share things with, who not to share things with, and when to share. Because I learned that.
Say that again. Rejection actually shows you
who to share things with, when to share things with, and when not to share things with. Because rejection helped me understand that and helped me learn that. That even with my own spouse, let me share that, because sometimes we act like it's our cousins and grandma now. Sometimes it's even your spouse. You know, like I said, I may wake up in the morning 2 hours from now, jump out the bed and start writing and typing. I can't run over there to Mike like, "Mike, I got a dream, I got a vision. This is what we're gonna do." He'll think I'm crazy because he'll be like, "Yeah, you know, tell me about it in the morning. Tell me about it tomorrow." Because I'm on 100 most of the time. That's not him. So he's not on 100 most of the time. He was like, "I wish I had that energy and that drive." He was like, I don't have that energy. I don't have that type of drive. So I've learned to meet him where he is. And even I can call you at Cassandra at 2:00 in the morning, like, "Cassandra, I have this idea. I have this dream." Be like, "Are you asleep?" If no matter what time it is, I may call you or text you. "Are you up? You in the bed?" My sister, I don't call her. I have to text her. "Are you up?"
Rosie.
Because I know she's asleep, but I text her because some mornings she might be up. And you got to know and learn who you can. Now, my aunt, if I tried to call my aunt at 12 o'clock at night, I already know I'm going to send her in a state of panic. So I don't call her at midnight. Because people are like, what's wrong? Work. So you got to know which one of your family members, if you want to share stuff with your family members, you got to know which family members to share with and when to share them with. Because you got those family members who everything is nay. I call them Doubting Thomas. You know, you think I could do this? I doubt it. Well, you think that maybe if we tried this, I doubt it. Well, you know how your cousins are. So you got those doubting family members that you can't share anything with them. You can't tell them anything. They just have to wait to see what you're doing. But rejection can be a good thing.
It shows you what direction to go in. It shows you, you know, and it sure does make you strong. Iris said, I came to the point where I have to move in silence and not share what I'm doing. I know that's Absolutely. Right, Iris. Because, you know, sometimes it's best to just be quiet, because if you share it, hearing all the negative chatter can discourage you.
It can be discouraging.
It can be very discouraging.
Yes.
And so at this point, we want to talk about what strategies and tools, and those of you who are on here who want to engage, what strategies and tools you have in your toolbox for when you encounter opposition. Because as I stated when we first started, whenever we've been talking about change, we've been saying we want to accomplish some things this year. We have our goals, we have our vision boards, and if you all missed the vision board session last week, go back and watch the session from last week. Bernadette did a vision board session, and so when you have these dreams and this vision, and opposition comes, this is not the time to quit. You got to pull your toolbox out. And once again, this is the things we share based on biblical principles. So it made me think about the scripture in Ephesians 4 when it says, put on the whole armor. So you got to be equipped. Yes. You got to be equipped, and you got to be prepared. Mm-hmm. You got to be prepared for the expected and the unexpected.
Especially the unexpected.
You got to be prepared. You got to be ready, because look, opposition coming, and sometimes the biggest opposition and resistance is within. It's within. You got to work on that beast within.
Yes. Oh my God. If you got beast right, it's a battle.
You got to work on that.
Yes.
And so we want to talk about the things that you need to be equipped with.
Yes.
Need to be equipped with, so that you can make it to that good success, that expected end that you want, those results, that vision that you have on that vision board, that vision that you have written down, those things that you've been speaking and saying. You have to be equipped and prepared. So we want to talk about some of the things that you need in your toolbox, some of the things that we have in our toolbox. What's some of the things that you pull out?
Effective communication. I'm telling you, one thing I learned, I have to share my own horror stories. One thing I realized when my business wasn't growing is because I couldn't effectively tell people what my business was. So if you haven't really developed what your elevator pitch is, we sometimes call our elevator pitch. If you haven't developed, and someone asks you, well, what's your business? And it take you got around the mountain and jumped over the hill, you're not communicating effectively. So you need to be able to tell people 1, 2, 3, what's your business? And so I learned that if I'm not able to communicate effectively, then I'm not able to get over what my business is. And you can't have 20 businesses and tie them into one statement, So I learned so effective communication. Especially if you have more than one business, then you got to say, well, this business does this business does that, this business does this. But if someone is asking you something and you going in 50 different directions, and when you finish, you say, honey, it's just so much, I can't even tell. No, that's ignorance.
But not only about business, but just bring it down to your life.
Yes.
You ask people sometimes, well, what is it that you want? And I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but they like, I don't know.
Yes.
At this point, I don't know. At 25, I don't know.
55.
50. I really don't know. And sometimes that can work for you, because what it's going to make you do, somebody asking you that question and your answer is, I don't know. That means you need to go sit in a quiet place.
Quiet place.
And you need to start thinking about what is it that you want.
Mm-hmm.
And you need to get clear on that, because you know, a lot of things have been happening, and we see a lot of times you may think you have a lot of time, but you may not.
Exactly. You never know when your time is going to begin, when your time is going to end. When you say a window of opportunity, it really is a window of opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
We've been talking about contracts. There's a deadline on when contracts have to be submitted. So that when we talk about window of opportunity, we're not always talking about life and death. Sometimes we're talking about an end date. When an end date is here, when that contract is due, period. There is no extension. Sometimes there is, it's due on this date, and you can call and say the postman didn't run. All you want to is like, they don't want to hear nothing about the postman. It said it was due and had to be in the office or stamped with that date on it, period. That's it.
Ira says, press on and ask God for help and directions. Find yourself a mentor that can be trusted and honest and have integrity to assist you and don't mind pushing you and pour into you. That's right.
Absolutely.
And I want to speak to that about mentors, because sometimes we think mentors have to be someone physical.
Yes.
But I didn't always have a mentor in the physical. I had to read books. I had to listen to videos, follow people from afar. But they were my mentors. I had to go to conferences.
Absolutely.
Those things, I had to do those things to educate myself and to build myself.
Yes.
And so those were my mentors. I didn't, of course, now I'm not gonna say it didn't frustrate me, it didn't make me feel insecure or discouraged, but I knew that I had to find alternative ways to get the training and to get the education and help that I needed, because I didn't have anyone right there in the physical. And that's another, that for a lot of us, for a lot of people, that has been true. And Absolutely. So you need something in your toolbox.
Exactly. And that's one of the things in my toolbox as well. Education is you take responsibility to educate yourself. And as you said, education doesn't always mean that going to a 4-year school or 2-year school. We're not talking about that. We are simply saying, go get the books, go get the knowledge for yourself. I can't even begin to tell you how many clients I talk to, and the first thing they say is, nobody will help me. Nobody. Whose vision is this? Whose dream is this? What do you mean nobody will help you? I said, the first thing I want you to write down is, nobody owes me anything. Nobody owes you anything. So I cannot stand the words when people like, well, nobody will help me. Okay, are you helping you? Why are you requiring more of other people when you won't help you? You won't go get a book. You won't go sign up for a class. You won't take a video. You won't watch a video. You won't take responsibility. Educate yourself. That's one of the tools that I have. Good communication. Educate myself, collaborate, compromise. That's the other thing, is compromise. Sometimes it can't be exactly the way you want. You got to make some compromises. Maybe I can't go. Maybe I need to go to school and I want to go to school, but I can't go on the campus. So my compromise is, I got to take it on video. I got to take a LinkedIn class. I got to take a Google class. There's so many classes now that you can take to educate yourself. And a lot of these classes are free.
Whatever you do, don't make excuses.
No excuses.
And I like what you're saying. You got to compromise. You got to be flexible. I've had to tweak my vision over the past 20 years. I've had to tweak it a few times because I, ended up having to take some detours and do some things. I never planned to go to school and all that. So I had to make detours. I had to make preparation for those things, those unexpected things. And so you have to be flexible. You have to be flexible. You have to be open-minded. You have to be willing to compromise, as the transformation coach just said. And that's growth, because sometimes people can have tunnel vision.
Exactly. And what you said is so good, is we can think that our path is going one way, but if God leads us in a different direction to get to our path, later on, we're like, oh, I get it. I didn't understand why I had to go to the path that looked like nobody took. Sometimes we got to go on a path that look like nobody do. I really have to walk through all the grass and all the trees. That is not what I saw. I saw the black pavement going in a straight direction, but that's not how it goes. Sometimes we got to get off the path, go through the trees, mark our own tree, mark our own trail, take our own can of paint and mark trees. So we'll know, and that's how our path should have been, and that's the path we have to take when we're, I planned for a whole different life. It was supposed to be easy, it was supposed to be simple, but I cannot tell you the easy road because I didn't get to take the easy road. I had to go again. I had to take the path where there was nobody had gone down the path. I'm like, did anybody leave some breadcrumbs? So.
Yeah. And we got excited about the vision.
Yes.
We got excited about the things that we saw and that were put into our imagination and our heart. We're excited, but didn't know that this is you was going to have to walk through these things. But now I definitely can say that I count it all joy.
Yes.
I appreciate everything. Once again, I'm biblical. It was good for me that I was afflicted.
It was.
It was good for me that I went through that opposition. It was good for me that I went through that resistance. It made me better. It brought out some things in me that I didn't know that I had, that I know, even some skills that I didn't know that I had, that I could do. So it was good. It was good for me. A couple of weeks ago, you talked about laying the foundation and you used some illustrations. One of your friends who worked in construction was telling you, we the things that you have to do to lay the foundation. And now we're talking about building, because once you start taking action and moving forward in that vision, once you start going down that road on that journey, you're going to see some detours. You're going to see stop. You're going to see yields.
Yes.
You're going to see all of those things are going to happen in life, but you have to be equipped and ready. And just because you don't handle things perfectly or the right way the first time, don't beat yourself up and don't give up. Don't be hard on yourself. Find out what you're supposed to do. Find out what you're supposed to do. Talk to somebody. Get you a life coach, a transformation coach. Get you a Bible.
Yes.
Read Proverbs.
And be comfortable with the vision change. The vision is never going to stop. And people ask me that question. Well, when you accomplish the vision, how did you feel? I haven't accomplished it yet. It keeps changing. It keeps growing into something larger. Once I think I'm halfway there, I can't even say I'm there. I'm halfway there. And getting halfway there, it's something else shows up, like, oh,
you're really just scratching the surface.
Just scratching the surface.
You're just scratching the surface, and that's exciting, because if you're just not scratching the surface and it's big, you have so much to look forward to.
Yes,
you excited about it, and that now something is coming. But now that you've matured in your thinking, and that's another thing you're going to have in your toolbox: mental preparedness.
Yes.
You got to be mentally prepared for opposition. You got to be mentally prepared, and you got to know that unexpected things are going to happen.
Exactly.
Don't think it's some strange thing that happened because things come against you that you don't like.
Exactly. As you say, with opposition, when people don't agree with you, I think it's strange when people do agree with me at this point. It's like, okay, y'all, okay, that I did this whole presentation and nobody have questions, like everybody's good, right? And if nobody had questions or nobody tried to confront me like, well, we tried that 20 years ago and that didn't work. So, and again, I can't give them that look. So I have to, say it with a smile. Well, tell me what you tried 20 years ago. And, so you have to be, so confrontation now is ask questions. Confrontation isn't you sitting there going in a meeting, because you're in a board meeting. You can't go back and forth with someone. You got to learn to ask questions. So that's how I deal with if I'm in a meeting or doing a presentation, because I promise you, it's always one. You're not going to do a presentation where there's not one person, because they thought it should have been them. They thought it should have been them, or they thought it shouldn't be you. And so I've been in a lot of those meetings where it shouldn't have been me, they thought. And so the questions come, and you have to be prepared.
I bet they bombard you with questions to see what you know.
Yes, and you can't get angry, and you can't get frustrated, and you on a Zoom call, and you on camera, and you can't get smart with people because I said so. Because I said so is not an answer.
It's not gonna cut it.
Because it worked with a different hospital, because I work with a lot of hospitals. So because it worked with hospital A, B, and C, and you'll see someone else get up and do a presentation, and no questions are asked.
And it's good for people to ask you questions, because as you said earlier, it challenges your thinking. It helps you to be a critical thinker. It helps you be a critical thinker. And another tool that we talk about that you have to have is faith. You got to
Yes,
believe. If you don't
absolutely.
believe, and in believing and holding on to what you believe, you got to guard what comes in your eyes, your ears, and what comes out of your mouth.
Yes.
Because all of that is tied to what you believe and whether or not you actually believe what it is that you say that you
Exactly.
want to do.
It can't be just words. It can't be just words. And again, if you say, this is my love, be sure this is your love. Because when something is your love, even when it's hard, you still do it. As they say, even if I wasn't getting paid, would I still do this? So my passion came, and what I do came out of, I would still do this even if I wasn't getting paid. And a lot of times I do a lot and don't get paid because that's just my way of giving back. But I would still do so. The things that when we were talking about finding your love and opposition, when opposition comes and you're doing something that you love, it's okay. You push through. It's like, you know what? It's whatever.
And sometimes the opposition helps you find what you love. What you
absolutely.
Sometimes it helps you find it.
Exactly.
Because had that never happened to you, had that never come in your life, or you never would have found what because it like we said earlier, it puts you in a fight or flight mode.
Yes.
And then you start doing things that you know you need to do.
Yes.
Because if you don't do it, you're not going to make it.
Absolutely.
And so you find yourself in a situation where, okay, at this point, I can't procrastinate anymore. I've got to do it. Yes. I've got to do it. And so then you find, this is really good.
And a lot of people start business because they were unhappy on their jobs.
Yeah, or because they got divorced.
Yes.
Or because they had a child. I hear Lisa Nichols talk a lot about how having a child was her motivation.
Yeah.
And so sometimes many times it's those challenges and those things that happen in your life that push you in a direction that you need to take. So resilience is another thing you have to have. You cannot be a quitter.
No matter what, don't quit.
You cannot be a quitter. You may get tired. You may get frustrated, but you got to keep moving. Ira said that earlier. You got to keep moving. You got to keep going on. You got to be resilient. So let's talk about this one last tool. And there's a lot of things. You talked about support.
Yes.
You got to have the right team. You got to have the right people around you. But this is one of the big ones to me. And I think this is an area that, a lot of people are trying to help in, and that's resources.
Yes.
You got to have resources in your toolbox. And I was talking to you earlier about when I was going through a challenging situation, because I knew the kind of life that I wanted to have, but I was in debt.
Yes.
I was in debt, and I had to do something that I didn't want to do. I had to go get a part-time job. I had to go get a part-time job. That's a resource.
Yes.
Because it brought in more capital for me.
Yes.
I couldn't think of a side hustle at the time, so I had to go get a part-time job. And in getting that part-time job, I worked a full-time job from 8 to 5, and then from 5:30 to about 9 o'clock at night, I cleaned buildings. And I did that for about 2 or 3 months. And I pulled myself and paid out of that debt and paid off that debt. That part-time job was a resource for me. That was a resource for me. There's some other things, that you can do for resources. If you want to go to school, there's scholarships.
And social media is a huge resource now. I mean, just about anything that you want to know, you almost can go on YouTube. You can go on LinkedIn. You can find out. The resources are available. You just have to do the research. You can't be lazy. That's the other thing we talked about, is being lazy. You cannot be lazy. If you want your dream to grow, if you want your dream to manifest, just speaking it 50 times a day is not, no. So I'm sorry. I know they got that out there. Just say it and close your eyes and blink 3 times. No, ma'am. No, sir. You're going to have to go out there, do your research, go get your resources. Again, everything doesn't have to be paid for. And then there's sometimes you're going to have to pay for stuff to get what you want. As they say, you got to spend some money to make some money. Even if you create a product, you got to spend some money to make the product so you can sell the product.
Right.
It's the same way. And if you're trying to grow your mindset, you may have to get a coach. You may have to get a therapist. You may have to go and speak with another business owner to help you grow your business. You may have to go to the restaurant and work as a waiter or a cook before you open your restaurant, before you open your catering business, so you can really learn, how does this catering business work? How does this restaurant thing work? Let me just really go apply myself. As she said, maybe it's a second job. again, for me, when I started my business, I was going through the thrift store. I didn't even know how to redo furniture. Not, but guess what? I figured it out because again, I needed some capital.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to work a second job, and that was my way of getting extra capital for my business. And I didn't want to take out a loan.
And you know something else thought about. You know, I think they got a technical term for it, and some people even started like a support group. I call it skill swap. You know, you have a skill. You have a skill that I can use. I have a skill that you can use.
Yes.
And instead of us, you know, hiring somebody, paying somebody, we swap skills to help each other and to help each other in what we do. And that may be in not just business. I've seen parents do this.
Yes.
They're working and they're trying to go to school, and so they get together. They say, "Look, on Tuesday night I go to school. I keep the children. I you babysit this Tuesday night, and then whatever it is you need to do, let's you know." And so people collaborate and work together, even in personal life like that, not just business. And so even in business, though,
sometimes you just ask. A lot of times we don't have because we don't ask. It really is that simple. We have not because we ask not. We haven't stopped to ask anyone, will you help me?
Right. And it's just a matter of opening your mouth and ask. So there are a lot of resources that are available. You just have to be creative. And like you just said, you have to open your mouth and ask.
Yes.
You have to you have to talk. You have to. I know right now, even I'm working on some networking. You know, we may not be able to financially support each other, but right now, you have an accounting skill. Hey, I need someone to take care of my books for me.
Absolutely.
I need someone to take care of my books for me. And then the other person may need some other skill that I offer.
Exactly.
Okay. Then I will do that for you in exchange.
Exactly.
In exchange. So you can be creative and come up with some things, and it's really nothing new. It's just a matter of being willing to being willing to do it.
Exactly. And the other thing we talk about is your local library, your local community center. Your community centers have so much information. We were over at our community center the other day. We was over at in Smyrna, Georgia, which is our local community center, and just had some amazing things that they were doing. You know, they have a walking trail, they have a gym. So if you can't afford the gym, they was like, oh, you can use the gym equipment for $2 every time you come in here. Well, you can't get a gym membership for $2. No. So you can pay $50 for the year. Most gyms, that's what they charge a month. And so it's just so many things that you can take advantage of. Make sure you go to your library. Make sure you go. It's so many churches now offer classes. They offer workshops. They offer seminars. Everybody class, not $200. Everybody workshop, not $200. So take advantage of the free things in your community. It's so many things. And if all is said and done and you can't find anything, then guess what? Tag your it. Create it.
That's right.
You are the person that's responsible.
There's a need for it.
Yes.
That's a need for it.
It's you.
And of course, now YouTube is available, and you can Google stuff. And even when you Google it, still do your research. Do your research and see if those things are true. And then, of course, investors. Investors, you can find investors. Sometimes your family, your friends, and I think we talked about this one time. If you need if you need some cash flow to start a business, hey, you might ask your family members. Can y'all who will be willing to give me like $25? Just ask. $25 to start. And then
most times it's just asking.
There are a lot of places, a lot of businesses that will give you startup grants. Yeah. You just have to be willing to put in the work, the time, and the effort. A lot of times, and you was talking about this on one of your lives the other day with laziness.
Don't be lazy.
Laziness is like I said, that beast within.
Yes. Some people say, I'm just afraid. No, you're lazy. It's not afraid, it's laziness.
Call it what it is.
You're lazy. So let's not be lazy. And I've had my lazy days as well. But there are days when we can't be lazy in this time and hour. There's so many things that need to be done, so many opportunities. And as each day we lose time. So we cannot be lazy.
Get it back.
And you're never getting it back. So let's not be lazy in the things that we want, lazy in the things that we desire. Push until you get there.
Yeah. So laziness is really an enemy against you. And you have to do something. You have to be proactive and intentional about overcoming that. You have to be. You really have to. That's where that resilience come in. You have to make up your mind, because laziness will cause you to be stagnant and
Absolutely
cause you to quit. You won't get anywhere.
And that's weird, because I was reading a book and it said if you're stagnated, you're dying.
That's true.
I was like, wow, okay. So when I read that, I highlighted like, okay.
You got to be moving.
So if you are stagnated, you are dying. So I was like, all right, I do not want to be dying.
That's right. So you guys, we hope that we have said something, giving you some tools and some ideas and some encouragement, motivation. You know what? I know a lot of this stuff we just said. You've heard it before. And when I noticed one thing. I have a nephew when I'm trying to teach him how to drive. And so when I tell him to do something, he said, I know. I know. The fact that you're saying I know and I know you don't know. You don't know.
If you're not implementing it, you don't know.
You don't know.
No, you probably have heard it, but you don't know it.
So I want to encourage you to be strategic. You know, I've worked for universities for several years, and at universities, a lot of businesses, they come up with what they call a strategic plan, a 5-year plan. Most of them don't go past more than 5 years, but you got to have a plan. You have to have a plan. You just can't. Guess what? Resistance and opposition and challenges are not sleeping on you.
No.
So you got to get up every day with the plan.
Every day.
What you're gonna do today, because that accomplishment is not just gonna happen on its own.
Absolutely.
So, Miss Bernadette, you want to close us out, transformation coach? Want to tell us one last thing of encouragement before we go?
One last thing of encouragement for today is that you can do it. I believe that you can do it. I just need you to believe that you can do it, and go do it today, not tomorrow. Go do it today. Have a great evening.
Bye-bye. You know, you all, it was good to be here in person to do this together. We're probably going to have to do this more often.
Absolutely.
All right, y'all have a good evening, and thank you for tuning in. Bye-bye.